Good evening, everyone, and thank you for joining us. This is the October 2nd, 2024 Board of Douglas County Commissioners 5:30 business meeting. There are paper copies of the agenda near the door, and for those who are here in person, and there are full packets available online. Tonight we have two proclamations, then we will have our consent agenda, followed by general public comment, and then we have a single general item. Given our limited time and the need to have an orderly and efficient meeting, we apply certain rules for general public comment. We do our best to enforce rules consistently without regard to the point of view expressed by the speaker. And those rules are that each person is limited to 3 minutes of speaking time. However, we always accept public comment for any length in writing. Individual speakers may not donate unused time to other speakers. All comments must address topics within the jurisdiction of the County Commission. We also prohibit public comments that are threatening, aggressively hostile, or belligerent, fighting words, slander, or speech that invades the privacy of individuals, unreasonably loud, disruptive, or repetitive, or that interrupt or substantially interfere with the board's ability to conduct county business. We do reserve the right to mute or remove any speaker who violates these public comment rules. At that time, we'd ask for your full name and address for the meeting minutes and to address your comments to the Commission. Please know that comments that are received by the Commission during our meetings do not necessarily represent the views of Douglas County government, but that we do value the input. We usually don't respond to general public comment on the spot, but if you leave your contact information with county staff, we will try and get specific questions answered. After that, we move to our regular agenda item, which we have one item tonight. And for each item, then we'll hear from staff or an applicant, followed by questions from the Commission, and then open that item up for public comment that is relevant to that item. Once public comment is closed, we bring that item back to the Commission for further discussion and a vote. Lastly, a recording of this meeting will be available on the county's YouTube page and website. If you were here earlier, we had a 4 p.m. work session where we heard about the Heritage Conservation Council 2024 update. If you've missed it, that is available on our YouTube page also. So now for this evening, we have two proclamations, and let's see which one we have first. National 4-H Week, which I would like to read, if that's all right, Commissioner. This is a proclamation for National 4-H Week in Douglas County from October 6th through the 12th, 2024. Whereas 4-H youth across the nation are keeping it green by leading efforts to solve problems in their communities, raise awareness about environmental issues, and make a difference for their future. And whereas 4-H is one of the largest youth development organizations in Kansas and the largest in the nation, with over 6 million young people. And whereas 4-H in Douglas County, Kansas claims more than 350 members and more than 100 volunteers. And whereas 4-H, as part of the Kansas State University Research and Extension, is a program where youth learn through opportunities that provide them hands-on experiences in 4-H's mission mandates of science, engineering and technology, healthy living, and citizenship. And whereas 4-H has connected youth and their communities with the innovative research and resources from our nation's 106 land-grant universities and colleges for more than 100 years. Now, therefore, the Board of County Commissioners of Douglas County, Kansas, do hereby proclaim October 6th through 12th, 2024 as National 4-H Week in Douglas County, and urges people of this community to take advantage of the opportunity to become more aware of this special program that enhances our young people's interests in their future as part of Douglas County's 4-H youth development, and to join us in recognizing the unique partnership between our county and our state university system, adopted this second day of October, 2024 by the Board of Douglas County Commissioners. And Nikki, would you like to come up and say a few words about it? Thank you. Come on up.
All right. Thank you so very much. I just have a I just want to share some pictures and a few little programs we've done this year to highlight, and then I have a couple 4-Hers that are going to visit with you briefly this evening. Yeah, I'll share. If I could do all this right.
And I forgot to welcome that Commissioner Kelly is with us online.
All right, so through this last 4-H year, our 4-H year runs from October 1 to September 30, so it's not that traditional year when we think about years, but thank you all again so much for the proclamation and for allowing us to be here this evening. Our traditional club program, as you mentioned in the proclamation, we have a little over 350 young people out there that are doing some amazing things throughout the year in their projects, from project exploration to leadership to citizenship. But within our traditional club experience, we have those traditional club programs where we have 11 clubs throughout the county where kids can go and learn at those club meetings, those leadership and citizenship skills that they then take out into their school, their community, and whatever other activities they may be doing. We also were able to provide over 10 project-specific groups for the kids to learn from this year, and one of those I'm going to highlight in just a minute because it was something new and different that we've been able to offer those kids. But those clubs range anywhere from STEM to horse to poultry to sewing and textiles and more. Other things that we do throughout the year where we utilize ourselves, our volunteers. We also host interns throughout the summer. So this past summer, we had 3 youth interns that were actually 4-H alumni from our county. So it was wonderful, but they were able to plan and program and implement programming to youth all over Douglas County. So those youth, every youth can get some piece of 4-H programming throughout the year. We also have our older 4-H members that are able to get out there and educate youth in the community as well. And that's part of that leadership development and that public speaking piece that we like to talk about as they go out and do those things. And just a few program highlights this year. We provided a youth leadership program called Discover Your Path. This program really was a leadership and communications program for our young people. It was for them to learn about the art of communication, the importance of how we communicate and how nonverbal and verbal communication are key in everything that we do every day. And they were also able to learn about different personality types and how we all think and plan and do things differently, but how we can all work together for a common goal. Our biology and 4-H spin club was new this year. We were able to partner with students, grad students at KU, to provide a biology and natural science spin club where for 6 months the kids went out and learned about everything from mammalogy to entomology, geology, paleontology, just a wide variety of those natural sciences. And they were able to end that program by going to the Natural History Museum and getting a more behind the scenes look of what it looks like to be a museum curator and learn about the research that's done on the animals that are within the museum, as well as how they take care of them and display them. And then this last summer, we sent 15 youth to Washington, D.C., where they had been working for the past 18 months to plan their trip, from fundraising to learning more about the civic process at the local, county, and state level before we went to DC, and were able to get a better picture of government and its working at the national level. So we've had a really busy year. We're looking forward to another super busy year. We are thankful again for you guys allowing us to be here this evening and for our proclamation. I will turn it over to these 2 young people. I will let them introduce themselves, and then we will be out of your way. Thank you.
Leadership. What does this mean? Well, we will all probably have different answers. However, leadership means to me taking action, leading others to accomplish a goal, and being kind, helpful, listening, and respecting others. Hi, my name is Hunter Harding. I am 12 years old and I live in Baldwin City. I enjoy working with my dad, playing outside, traveling, and musical theater. This is my 6th year in the Leadership Project. I enjoy this project because it has helped me gain confidence and provided opportunities that have helped me grow as an individual. I enjoy leading the club, teaching others, and serving my community. This year, I had many opportunities to grow with my leadership and communication skills. I participated in the 4-H Youth Leadership Program called Discover Your Path. This program helped me improve my communication skills, but also how to work with other people who have different personalities and opinions than I do. We are all motivated differently and have different views on how we complete tasks and activities. I have also had the opportunity to participate in Sources of Strength, a teen advocacy group in my school. I have attended workshops and meetings where we explore mental health in teens and teen alcohol and drug use. We work as a group to understand these issues and provide education and support to students in our school. This year, I served as 4-H Council representative for my club. I enjoy 4-H Council mostly because I serve on the 4-H Council Financial Committee. I enjoy financial management, setting a budget, and providing 4-H activity scholarships to other 4-Hers. I also serve as Fair Board representative for the Douglas County 4-H Council. I really like this position because I wanted to learn more about how they function and how it directly impacts me and other 4-Hers. I report back to 4-H Council about any updates of upcoming fair. Overall, serving on 4-H Council allows me the opportunity to keep our county 4-H program, as well as local 4-H members, up to date on all things 4-H. I really wanted to try to step in more teaching and facilitating roles in my club and county level. I am still just an intermediate member, so I cannot participate at the state level yet. My first experience was when I was asked to teach 4th grade students about poultry care at the annual Douglas County Extension Day on the Farm event. This was my second year. Although I learned a lot last year, I learned even more this year, but was more confident and prepared when teaching overjoyed 4th graders about poultry and knew that their mind was always on petting the chickens. During the spring and summer, I was able to serve as a facilitator for Project Scale-a-thon, Clover Camp, and Explorers Camp. My job was to help youth and presenters with overall camp programming. As a junior poultry project leader, I taught youth how to prepare their birds for the county fair and went over the items they should load to bring with them to the county fair. At a pet project meeting, I also spoke to 4-Hers how to prepare their presentations for the pet project at the county fair. Finally, as a junior dairy project leader, I taught around 40 youth in Lawrence Parkinson's Recreation about dairy cattle and the dairy industry, as well as residents of Cottonwood at the Douglas County Fair. This year, I did more 4-H promotion than I have in the past by speaking about 4-H and my 4-H projects on KLWN radio. I enjoyed the interview and the conversation very much. One thing I'm looking forward to as I get older is becoming a 4-H ambassador so I can help promote 4-H and provide 4-H experiences and resources throughout Douglas County. I really enjoy the leadership project and have grown so much this year as a leader and communicator. I have a lot to learn, but will continue to serve my club and teach others about my 4-H project work and experiences and serve my community. This year will begin my journey as a Citizenship Washington-focused delegate. I'm excited for the opportunity to grow with my leadership skills and learn more about civic process and share our knowledge within our community. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Piper Flory. I'm 15 years old and this is my 7th year in 4-H. I'm currently serving as the Vice President and the 4-H Council representation for the Palmyra 4-H Club. My current 4-H projects include pigs, goats, photography, clothing, foods and nutrition, woodworking, and leadership. My favorite things about 4-H is helping the younger 4-Hers learn more about their projects and the opportunities it gives me. Thank you.
Thank you all for being here, and it's always wonderful to hear from you. I have your proclamation. We do not yet have Commissioner Kelly's signature. Do you want to take it now, or do you want me to fill that out and get it to you next week? Okay, thank you. Commissioner?
Thank you all for being here. I really appreciate it. The other proclamation that we have for tonight's agenda is for Domestic Violence Awareness Month, and I am proud to be able to read this proclamation as both a victim advocate and a survivor of family violence. In the county and state of Douglas County, Kansas, in recognition of the critical work being done by domestic violence advocates and allies in service of the survivors and the victims they serve, we encourage all citizens to actively engage in the scheduled activities and events sponsored by Willow Domestic Violence Center and other organizations working toward an eradication of domestic violence. And whereas in the United States, more than 12 million adults experience domestic violence annually, with an average of 20 people every minute experiencing these heinous acts. Whereas in the state of Kansas, one domestic violence incident occurs every 24 minutes, and one domestic violence murder occurs every 10 days, with one domestic violence incident reported every 23 minutes. Whereas the impact of domestic violence is felt not only by individuals and families, but also by communities and a nation as a whole. And whereas Douglas County joins with others across the state of Kansas and nationwide in supporting domestic violence victims and survivors, the advocates and organizations who serve them, and holding offenders accountable in our community. Now, therefore, the Board of County Commissioners of Douglas County, Kansas, do hereby proclaim October 2024 as Domestic Violence Awareness Month in Douglas County, adopted this second day of October 2024. I believe we have Adrienne Nunez from the Willow Domestic Violence Center to share a little bit more information.
Thank you, Commissioners. My name is Adrienne Nunez, and I am the Director of Communications at the Willow Domestic Violence Center. Domestic violence is an epidemic that significantly impacts our community in several ways. It is present in every community, including ours. It is based in power and control and affects people of all ages, genders, races, ethnicities, and socioeconomic classes. In 2024, the Willow has taken 2,386 hotline calls, provided 12,993 safe nights of rest between our emergency shelter and our transitional housing program, and provided 14,647 services by the advocates across all of our programs. And we are honored to serve our clients and lucky to work alongside so many community partners fighting for stable housing, food security, and equality. Because we know a lack of those resources can contribute to domestic violence, we will continue to break cycles of violence through our prevention work with our community members and the youth we reach to teach them about healthy relationships. The Willow has several things going on this month for Domestic Violence Awareness Month. One is tonight, if you're hungry and don't want to cook, head over to Lawrence Beer Company because they're doing a dine and donate. Well, between 4 p.m. and 9 p.m., they will donate part of their proceeds to the Willow. This Saturday, the Lawrence Community Orchestra is having an event to celebrate women composers and artists, and also partnering with the Willow to raise awareness about domestic violence. Next Thursday, October 10th, we're very excited to host Miss Kansas 2024, Alexis Smith. She will be speaking on her platform, Respect Reclaimed, Advocating for Healthy Relationships. This event is free and open to the public. We ask that you register through our Eventbrite event page. Also, let us ruin your yesteryear. Next Friday, October 18th, Friday, October 18th, at the 3rd Annual Nostalgia Nightmare. That's hosted by the Willow and the Free State Film Festival and the Lawrence Arts Center. A panel of local comedians and domestic and sexual violence advocates will roast one of our favorite problematic films, Revenge of the Nerds. If you own or work at a salon, please join us on Monday, October 21st for our Safe Salons training. It's an interactive training where you will learn how to recognize and respond to warning signs of domestic violence. You can find all of the ticket and registration information, at willowdvcenter.org/DVAM2024. Thank you all. We appreciate you serving and being a part of this, so thank you.
Thank you, and thank you for being here.
Yeah.
And saying we have a proclamation. Would you
Yes.
like to wait and have it signed by all three of you?
Yes, I will wait.
Thank you. That brings us to our consent agenda. And as always, we first ask commissioners, then ask the public if there are any items they'd like to pull from the consent agenda for further discussion. Commissioners, are there any that you would like to have conversations about?
None for me.
No.
Okay. Is there any member of the public that is here present who would like to pull an item from the consent agenda for further discussion? Do we have anyone online?
Melanie Kaufman has raised her hand online. I will move her into the panel. Melanie, you're in the panel and you can provide your public comment.
Actually, we're not at public comment. We're at, is there an
Oh,
item
I'm
to pull
sorry,
from the
Melanie,
consent
which
agenda?
item would you like to pull off the consent agenda?
I would like to pull 2.7, please.
Okay.
0.7. All right, thank you. And with that, I would entertain a motion for the balance of our consent agenda.
Commissioner Reed, move to approve consent agenda items 2.1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 8.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. So 2.7, I see we don't have Chad here in the room. Is he available online?
He's online if the commissioners have any questions for him.
Okay. Commissioners, do you have any questions or thoughts to start this, or should I open it for public comment?
I do not have any questions after reviewing this item.
No
had all-
questions.
I had all of my questions answered previously. This is now a public comment item. Is there anyone, I'll ask first in the room, is there anyone who'd like to speak on item 2.7 from our consent agenda? All right, I assume, Melanie, would you care to speak on this item?
Yes, please.
Okay, go ahead.
We have a broken process when items consistently appear on the consent agenda that are $500,000 without any discussion. And I know that you've said that you have your questions answered, and I'm not sure where you've gotten those answers, because from the budget hearing, I did not. So at the budget hearing, what I got from this equipment replacement was Mr. Voigt said that, quote, the day we buy it, we're already thinking about the year it gets replaced, and we put it on a list to track. So that means the last time it was considered was 10 years ago when it was purchased. And I'm not even talking about one Mack truck. There are two. And so I was looking at the budget, the roads and bridge equipment replacement 2024 versus 2025, and it rose by $248,000, which is significant. And one of the Mack trucks costs $290,000. So I'm wondering a few questions. I have a few questions. Is there an assessment process, a reevaluation process? And I don't just mean within the department, but within the commission, to actually assess these budget items and see if they're needed in a timely manner. And I don't mean timely as in we have to replace it now, but can they wait? Do we need 2 Mack trucks? What percentage of Mack trucks of the fleet do 2 consist of? Can we wait? What is the mileage of each of those? What's the repair history? Why are we replacing 2 in the same year? Can they be staggered? Has there been a quantity negotiation? Are there any existing parts on the trucks that we are getting rid of that could be used for these new Mack trucks, such as the $19,000 snowplow, or I think there were some other things. And I noticed that there's a tire credit of $300, so they can't be all bad, like we have to replace them in this year. So just want some discussion on it and make sure that everybody knows what they're approving before we just put it on the consent agenda and blanket approve it. Thanks.
Thank you. Is there anyone else online that would like to make public comment on item 2.7 from our consent agenda?
Someone raised their hand. I'm not sure if it's on that item. So if you want to speak on item 2.7, I'll move you into the panel, but if you want to speak on public comment, I'll move the person into the panel. It's iPhone 2.
And can you give your name for the record, please?
They declined to be promoted as panelists, and
Okay.
they have to do
They
that.
may be
in order-
waiting for public
Yeah,
comment.
okay.
So, all right, with that, seeing no other public comment for this item, I will bring it back to the commission. And we do have Chad Voigt online. And I would just give Chad a chance if he'd like to talk about the equipment replacement process, which I know is significant, and it's something that is well known by this body. But if you'd like to talk about it,
Trying to get his microphone to work. Commissioners, I can speak a little bit while Chad's trying to get this open. these vehicles are reviewed frequently, at least every year. That assessment is done again before a decision is made to replace a vehicle. And so that process is reviewed annually with me, but also internally to the department as well to talk about the mileage of the vehicle and whether or not it needs to be replaced. And so that process happens frequently and routinely.
I know with our ambulance replacement process that the lead time on those vehicles is significant. And I see that in here also, that it was anticipated to be needed in 2025, and it may not yet be here until 2026, just given the lead time. So,
Yeah, that is the case. There's a significant lead time on ordering these, over a year.
To that point, I just want to comment that, well, I can appreciate the question presented to us about why 2 and not just 1. And part of the planning process is anticipating those potential delays in the demand from other entities on that supply chain. And so being able to plan for more than 1 at a time, I think puts us in a better position to maintain our capacity. And again, because these have been budgeted for and a part of that equipment reserves planning, I'm comfortable with it, and I understand why 2 is better than 1.
Commissioners, I would also just note that there is more explanation on this item on the agenda item report. You get a full review of that, not just at budget time.
Commissioner, any other thoughts either?
No, I appreciate the public comment, but I feel like that staff's work and the memo that we're provides the information that we need.
So are there opportunities for the public to have a larger conversation either with Chad or with you about this process if they still have questions after this time?
I mean, members of the public can always reach out and ask us questions if they have questions that they want us to answer, but it's, we take our direction from the commission in terms of if they want additional information to make decisions.
Thank you. And I assume Chad, probably still no microphone. I don't know that we have any specific questions for you that we haven't gotten from Sarah. No. All right, commissioners, I would entertain a motion should you choose to make one.
Commissioner Reed moved to approve consent agenda item 2.7.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. That brings us to general public comment. Do we have anyone here who would like to give general public comment? Come on up.
Good evening. My name is Brent Bovey, rural Douglas County. Further to my email last week to Board Chair Willie, Commissioner Shannon Reed, and all the candidates for County Commissioner, I want to publicly set the record straight on comments made by Karen Willie last Tuesday evening at the DC RPA Public Forum. She indicated the numbers I'm talking about publicly are so wildly off base, it's hard to know how to start. First, I want to remind Board of Commission Chair Willie and inform all of you about the following undisputed facts. The numbers I'm reporting for each year are merely totals of the county's own Schedule I amounts. This schedule reports the funds the county chooses to report for each audited year. I simply totaled the amounts reported by the county and then asked my questions. The only exception is for the year 23, which was presented and approved by the board on August 14th. The county did not report the certified budget for 23, as I've pointed out numerous times. Secondly, the questions I asked the State of Kansas Office of Budgets and Reports can be summarized as follows. I sent an email to Karen Ruoff, Director of Office of Budgets and Reports, and I've sent you and forwarded you her response. She basically indicated I need to talk to Douglas County directly and gave me the contact info from your website. I also spoke with Mandy Patek, Team Lead Municipal Services in the same office. During this brief conversation, I asked Mandy whether their office does a review of the budget submissions from the various cities, towns, and counties throughout the state to ensure these municipalities are properly reporting miscellaneous expenses, and non-appropriated balances in each year on the state forms. Her response was simply, "We have no authority to do that type of review in this office." I want to be clear, I may not have her quote verbatim, but that's the gist. She also said taxpayers could pursue further action through the State Board of Tax Appeals. After I asked her what steps taxpayers could take if they believe state statutes had been violated, there was never a comment from Ms. Ruoff or Ms. Patek telling me that the county's accounting is correct and my accounting is wrong. To say anything different is simply not true. Finally, I have two separate core requests I'll submit directly to Carrie Britt tomorrow for details on agency funds for Schedule 4 and for the 2018 and 17 budget reports and amended budgets for the funds with amendments approved in December of 18 and 17 by the board. It's a shame residents have to submit core requests because the county chooses to remove this public data from your website.
Thank you. Is there anyone else who'd like to give public comment? Do we have anyone online?
We do. The person with that has their hand raised is iPhone 2. You need to accept the panel. You need to be, you're promoted to panelist. You have to accept the panel presentation. So they're declining that. So it's difficult for me to move them into, I can't let them talk without them accepting that.
Okay.
So
We'd love to have you reach out in another way where we can find out what your issues what your issues are. Do we have anyone else who is willing to accept the panel? Okay. That closing general public comment and bring it back to the board for our regular agenda item. And that is our long-awaited low-income senior and disabled veteran property tax rebate pilot program. And Jake, thank you.
Thanks, Commissioners. Jake Broadbent, Management Analyst for Douglas County. So early in the year, Commissioners asked staff to develop a property tax rebate program for seniors and disabled veterans, specifically low-income seniors and disabled veterans, to help combat rising home values. This program will allow seniors and disabled veterans to have up to $300 of their property taxes rebated. It was funded in the 2025 budget from $500,000 in fund balance, and that would equal about 1,700, a little less than 1,700 rebates if they were at that $300 maximum. Staff from administration, clerk, treasurer, and appraiser's offices met multiple times throughout this year to create the program and discuss the back-end processes. And applications will be reviewed on a rolling basis as they come in next year, which starts January 15th and goes to April 15th. Applicants can expect their payments to be mailed by June or July of next year. And staff is also, we talked about this a little at the last meeting. We contacted Senior Resource Center, the Kansas Office of Veteran Services, which shares a building with Senior Resource Center, local libraries and city offices to help advertise the program or keep flyers at their offices. And also IT staff will create a dedicated property tax rebate pilot program webpage on the county's website, and it'll include information and also the application, which can be filled out via web form, on paper, and that can be emailed, mailed, turned in person to the clerk's office. And the email is, it's a little long, propertytaxrebate@dgcoks.gov. And once again, it'll open January 15th next year. It'll be open until April 15th. And I have with me Adam Rains, Treasurer, Brad Eldridge, and Chief Deputy County Clerk Marty Penrod. We're happy to answer any questions you have.
Thank you. Commissioners, do you have questions to start off with? I know we had quite a bit of feedback the last time we heard from this, and I'm glad to see a lot of that is working through. I know some of this was modeled off of a program we saw from Johnson County. Have there been good conversations with them about how that's worked and any glitches they've had as they've rolled theirs out?
Yeah, I did not hear of any glitches. I know they had a lot less participation than they hoped for. They had about 200 applications, which was only a little less than $40,000 out of their $500,000 they set aside. So we're hoping to do a lot more outreach so we can reach people instead of hoping they come to us.
And recognizing we don't have income data for folks, but we do have the value of the home, which is one of the other qualifications. Presumably there is the need that goes beyond the 1,600, 1,700 applications that we are prepared for. I think rolling this out in the communication aspect will probably be our largest hurdle for getting it started.
Yeah.
Is that what they found in Johnson County also?
Yes, they said I think they're working on getting it out more in social media communication next year. I think this year they just had commission meetings. I think they sent out in their county-wide magazine to residents, but I don't think there was any outreach to organizations in the community.
I would recommend the AARP tax aid program because this is the clientele that they primarily serve with free tax preparation services. They would be an excellent outreach method to make sure, and they used to do that work at the senior center. I'm not sure where they're located now, but it'd be a good one. The questions before we go to public comment?
Question, I know we have the treasurer there and the appraiser. Sometimes you hear from the public about taxes. Do you have any sense, any idea of how many people you think this program might impact?
Hello, this is Brad Eldridge, County Appraiser. We were just talking about before we sat down here for this meeting, I think that roughly we'd have probably between 20 to 50 people that walk in traffic that would have inquiries on this type of subject matter. Most of our rebate programs that we have in existence go through the clerk's office, so we forward them on to Marnie and her staff. And so that's just based on a walk-in traffic. I think if we marketed it a little bit more, we might have some more interest that we can have folks on.
I think the question may have been like, what's the total number of the population that we think may be in need of this program?
Demographic wise?
I don't think we've done that work, commissioners, to identify the pricing layered on with veterans, layered on with seniors, and we don't have income data on everyone that would be eligible. So I don't think we've done that work.
Right. I was looking mostly for anecdotal data, just what you experience, or Adam, what you experience, or even Marnie, Yeah. Is there ways that we're not, Commissioner Willie offered one, is there ways to market that, just through your offices possibly?
Yeah, I think, we're going to be working with having flyers at our customer counter, and I think with the treasurer's office as well. But, I think, with just the volume of traffic that we get in these days, it's gone down a lot since 2020. But the folks that do come in, this is a very common question that they ask for, what kind of programs are available.
Okay. Thank you.
Adam Rains, the county treasurer. I would agree with Brad. A lot of the customers that are coming in are, I would say the older generation will be affected by the pilot programs we're putting in place. So those customers are often coming into us. So we plan on giving them information, the application, to go ahead and file that with Marnie over in the clerk's office. So we'll have up signage this year. That way when they do come in, they can at least see, review the paperwork, and then see if they qualify or not. So we plan on having information in our office as much as we can, so customers can read that and make the determination if they qualify or not.
Thank you.
And that's good to hear. That was one of my next questions, so you got there already. I did have a question about, I don't know that we're there yet, but if something can be mailed out along with tax I know that there's a significant cost with that, and that would not be everybody. It would be the folks that are, that the price of the home would qualify. And even then, it could be confusing that not everybody would qualify based on income, and we wouldn't have that information.
Yeah,
I see Sarah looking skeptical.
Yeah, I'd say as we talked through some of those options, the mailing of tax bills is a very automated process. So to try to add an insert into that item and then confusing if certain folks get it and they're not eligible. So I think that was the recommendation of staff and Adam, if you've got more to add there, but the recommendation was that that might lead to more confusion than it would solve.
Yeah, I agree. And the population we're reaching, or the numbers we're reaching, I don't think will be there. So to mail out everyone and only reaching 100 to 200, I don't think is best use of the tax dollars. But we get a homestead file every year for when individuals file with the state of Kansas. We get that money from the state of Kansas. So what we plan on doing is taking those properties and then sending them information. That way, if they feel they qualify for us, most likely they will, then they can submit that application. But we plan on sending those based on the information we get from the state of Kansas.
Yeah, I was wondering about the homestead tax program also, if we have reasonable kind of crossover between those two or anticipated.
We get some of them through the state of Kansas. Other times they just get a credit on their income taxes. So sometimes it's hard for us to know who all qualifies for the homestead. But for those individuals that we do receive money from the state, we plan on reaching out to them about the credit or the pilot program we have.
I also wonder about some of our partners, like with our SNAP educators or HSC, the Housing Stabilization Collaborative, and some of the outreach that they have in the community, if they can also be kind of mobilized for this information outreach.
Yeah,
I think that's definitely something we can add to the list.
Yeah, we're open to anyone who we can reach, any resources or places of business that we're more than willing to put that information out.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions before public comment?
I don't have a question, but since we're throwing ideas out there to see what sticks, I was just, maybe you all have already talked about it. I know that the Register of Deeds has a program for veterans who file, I don't want to mess up the exact name of the document that is filed to have on county record. I know that doesn't necessarily reach all veterans in our community or have the factor of being determined to be disabled veteran by the military by any percentage, but seems like a good starting place.
We often send them upstairs to the Register of Deeds from the Treasurer's office when they come in with that DD 214. So a lot of times we can capture them in our office. That would be outside the property tax, would be more on motor vehicle. So, we could reach out to individuals that way, but definitely we could put something up at the Register of Deeds office.
Commissioners, anything else for the moment? Okay, this is a public comment item. Is there anyone in the audience that's here in person who would like to give public comment on this item? Come on up.
Gene Dorsey, Lawrence, Kansas. I fully support this program. I just had one question, which will probably be down the road. I don't think this is going to happen based on Johnson County statistics, but we've said $500,000 roughly covers 1,700 rebates. If you were to get 1,900 rebates, is there a procedure whereby you allocate those out so that they don't all go to citizens of Lawrence and Eudora and Baldwin people who apply or giving some consideration? Thanks.
Thank you. Is there anyone else who would like to give public comment? Do we have anyone online?
I'll move Melanie Kaufman into the panel. Melanie, you're in the panel. You can come off mute and provide public comment.
Alrighty. A year ago during the budget neutral hearings, the commissioners told us that they could not legally reduce taxes for seniors only, that it's barred by state law and everyone has to have the same level of taxes in a county. And that's when we were asking for all seniors for across the board, because as we know, they are on fixed incomes and not all meet that low income, but they do live in houses that approach the $350,000 level. So I absolutely do not begrudge low income seniors and disabled veterans the 300 rebate, but I believe that you're misunderstanding the public. When we are coming to you, we're not offering to pay more to cover rebates, and that $500,000 feels like it was put in there. And so I'm wondering, like the 1,700 that you're expecting, what happens to the balance of the seed money if like only 15 to 20 people or 200 max that you're expecting apply for this? Or are we on the line, the rest of us paying for that every year, including the seniors that we initially asked for lower taxes for? And so also, what is the administrative burden? It doesn't sound like, 15, 20, 200 even is much of a burden now, but as the pilot transitions into a permanent state, which I expect that it will, what is that burden? Are you planning on adding additional staff members? I see that it involves 3 county departments and a lot of coordination already. So just wondering those questions. And do you know how much the property taxes are for like a $350,000 home? And $300 doesn't seem like a very significant proportion to provide to low income seniors for that. Thanks.
Thank you. Sarah, do we have anyone else online that wants to give public
Do
comment?
not.
So closing public comment and bringing it back to the commission. And I'd actually probably start with Sarah, unless you'd like to pitch it to someone else, the difference between funding this out of fund balance versus funding this out of mill levy.
Well, since it was a pilot program, we thought it was appropriate to start in this manner, to just put some seed money into it and see how it goes. I would say that if it's something that has significant funds over a period of time, we will need to budget for it.
So just kind of reiterating that this is not ongoing, at this point, this is not an ongoing program that is, that mill levy or property tax levy is supporting at this point. This is coming out of a fund balance that was there as allocated for this. So any unused funds would be still in our fund balance, and we can reevaluate as this pilot program unfolds.
Well, what I think we'll probably do is move the $500,000 to a project account, and it'll stay there, and then it'll be used until, I anticipate it will probably cover several years if the commissioners decide that the program should continue after the first year. And then I would say if we need additional funds or it needs to be reworked and there's additional conversation, we can certainly have it as we go. We've done that historically with programs where we continue to evaluate them and figure out how best to have them be continued.
Thank you. Commissioners, other questions?
I'll just ask, Jake, could you potentially give us, we talked about this sort of in the initial study of this option and that the county commission decided to move forward with, but can you talk about broadly your study of other communities? We've mentioned Johnson County here, but other communities that have a similar program, and where the methodology around the amount came from and how to pick a benchmark in terms of that $350,000 threshold and then the $300 maximum or county portion. Can you just talk us through that?
Yeah, so currently Johnson County is the only other county in Kansas that has a rebate program, but there are multiple cities in the state that have a program. I can't speak to how they chose theirs, but we chose our $350,000 limit based on the homestead, the state homestead program. We felt if we made it similar to that, when people come into the clerk's office to ask help for those applications, we can also show them our program. They can apply for both.
And does the $300 amount, is that also a part of the homestead? I just kind of want to draw out where we, if there's a particular rhyme or reason, and maybe the answer is we don't know yet, and that's part of the evaluation for us to do down the line if that benchmark what was impactful, but just curious if there's any more.
Yeah, a lot of the others, Johnson County and a lot of the other cities were around $200, $300, some up to $500. So we went somewhere in the middle, and we're hoping to learn more. The participation rate will obviously influence if we, the amount ongoing.
And I guess I'd add, commissioners, like this is a rebate program from Douglas County only. So, individuals will still pay their state taxes, their city taxes, their other property taxes. We cannot rebate those amounts. So if we begin to divide out specifically what certain tax amounts are for just the county portion, I think that would also be important in the consideration for that as well. So, and I think we can monitor that. I think this will be good to sort of get a sense of who, get some demographics on who's applying, what are we seeing, and get some of that type of information as well.
I think we'll also get a feel for what the admin pressure is to put this out, and also how many partners step up to help with the communication part of it, which I think they will. Commissioners, do you have other questions?
I don't have any other questions. I just, while I'm unmuted, wanted to compliment and appreciate that it is such a concise and I think really accessible one-page application. So I think that's really important to the foundational success of a pilot program, and making it as easy of an entry point and digestible information about that eligibility criteria, than knowing that there is that administrative work to be done in terms of reviewing all the relevant records and further determining criteria. But I just really appreciate seeing that it's a one-page application. That's not very common in bureaucracies, so why not celebrate it when it happens? And then it won't be a significant burden for the resident to submit that and determine whether or not they might be eligible. So thank you for that.
I don't have any questions, just maybe a comment or two. One is I think it's important to remember that this is being done with fund balance, and the public comment made an assumption that it would be renewed and would go on to the tax rolls, and it's actually the opposite of that. It's looking at what fund balance was created, taking a small portion of that fund balance, or taking a portion of that fund balance, and seeing how we can return some of those tax dollars to our most vulnerable populations. So I think in some ways, I think it's hard to know what the right number is. I heard that said, like, maybe this isn't the right number and it's not very much money. And I think I hear that, but it's also a pilot program, and we don't want to overextend. We want to put it out there, learn from it, and see where to go from there. But it is being done with fund balance. We've made no commitment to do this long term by increasing the mill levy, and we certainly didn't set mill levies in the past with the idea of doing this. So it seems like a smart move to think about. If we had some savings, how we might return some of that savings and still maintain services. Thank you, staff, for your work on this.
Commissioners, any other thoughts? Nope. Or motions?
Gotta get back to the right page.
I would say,
Commissioner Kelly, I'm happy to make a motion on this one. To approve the Douglas County Property Tax Rebate Pilot Program and authorize staff to move forward.
Second.
and I would say, I've been very excited about this, and I appreciate all the staff's work, and I know there's a lot of collaboration to start something new and figure out where we go with it and then gather the data. So thank you for all of you that you've been thinking through this for the last many months. I appreciate it. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion
Aye.
passes. Thank you. That brings us to appointments. And I know we have some in the works, and I was actually, we may have to, let me pull this up. Do commissioners have any that they're ready to make? I know we have some that we're still working on.
I don't have any.
We still have Peasley Tech on there, just to note we need to remove that one.
Oh, we
because we
did
did it
make
last
it last
week.
week.
Yeah.
Thanks, we'll get it removed. Thanks, Jake, you can get that. Yep.
And we have a Bert Nash appointment that is open that we've had one application from and conversations about others. Sarah, have you seen those yet?
No.
Okay, I just needed to check in on that. So thank you. That puts us to our Commissioner or Administrator Miscellaneous. Do you have one go into your memo?
Thanks, Commissioners. My memo is attached. Just an update about the annual orientation luncheon for the Douglas County Planning Commission is November 8th. Please let us know if you can make that so that we can get it noticed. Attached, you've got our staff has reviewed and prepared its boilerplate service agreement for community partners, receiving over $80,000 in county funding. The majority of the changes are located in sections 6, 9, 10, 16, 17, and 18, and with revisions to clarify responsibilities and ensure more precise terms. Additionally, there are some clauses that were in section 6 that pertain exclusively to behavioral health partners, and we've moved those to a separate exhibit. So staff's going to begin to meet with community partners in preparation for the 2025 budget and begin working on these agreements. Your legislative report from Little Government Relations is attached, as well as a newsletters from Fire District 1 and the Appraiser's Office. And also attached is some Douglas County Fairgrounds reservation statistics. I don't think the community understands what a real treasure we have at the fairgrounds and how much it is used. So our Director of Maintenance and Grounds put together some information on that, and it is attached as well. Commissioners, we don't have a work session next week, and we don't have a work session again until November. At least right now. If something comes up, I'll keep you posted. And then we are not meeting on October 30th because it is the 5th. In months where we have 5 Wednesdays, we take one off, and we're going to take the 30th off. Commissioners, that's all I have.
All right, thank you. Commissioners, anything else for this evening?
Oh.
I'll just share that I had the opportunity to attend DECA's 50th anniversary celebration last Thursday, and it was a really, really nice event. And I'm hopeful about their future and how they're planning to grow their role in transitional housing, which is something that the county has specifically been invested with them in addition to, services, outpatient and inpatient services otherwise. So just wanted to report back that it was a really, really big celebration and much deserved. And DECA has a really cool history here that's grown from, 1 to 2 services to sort of a whole suite of services that I think are really holistic and are a good example of really braided funding between private dollars and local government dollars and state dollars, and making those work really hard for our community and have significant impact.
Nice. Well, thank you for attending that. And I have lots of ideas for work sessions, so we can start putting those require some staff help also to get those on the future agenda. So with that, anything else? Then we are adjourned, and thank you, Commissioner Kelly, for joining us remotely. See you back here next week. Thank you all.